The housing sector is seeing a correction across the country, but that might be the one thing you cannot see from 1,500 feet up on Midtown Manhattan's Central Park Tower. That's where you'll find what could be the most expensive home ever sold. It's now on the market for a cool $250 million. Founder and CEO of mega brokerage Serhant and star of $1 Million Listing New York, Ryan Serhant, joins us here to tell us about his highest listing ever. Good to see you, man. So it looks spectacular from what we've seen, but please, how do you justify $250 million?
You justify the price of this listing the same way I would justify the price of any other home we're selling in New York or anywhere else. You look at comparable sales. You look at price premium for height, light, air, views, outdoor space. There are comparable sales for penthouse properties and similar premium trophy properties in New York City that have sold for between $15,000 and $20,000 a square foot in the last 3 years. This property is priced below $15,000 a square foot. So the price point is high because the apartment is huge. It's almost 18,000 square feet, interior across 3 floors. There's also nothing else like it. Most buildings have penthouses, and maybe what differentiates them is the views or some outdoor space. But most towers on Billionaires Row do not have the ability to have the ceiling heights that this apartment has and have the outdoor space that this apartment has. And it's a real feat of engineering. There is nothing else like it. I've been seeing high-priced luxury homes for 15 years in my career. I've sold some of the most expensive homes around the world. I have never seen anything like this home. I've never been in a private ballroom. That's the highest private ballroom on the planet. I've never been on a private terrace. That's the highest private outdoor space on Earth. It's a sight to be seen. It's a new wonder of the world, that's for sure.
A new wonder of the world with 11 bathrooms, mind you. $14,250 per square foot is pretty astounding. You talk about the height. What does make it so unique, unlike anything else out there? And what about the amenities? I assume those are pretty substantial in that price range.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to understand that when you buy a home in New York City and you're buying in an uber luxury skyscraper, you're not just buying your apartment, you're not just buying the home, you're buying the lifestyle of that vertical neighborhood. Central Park Tower is the building, is the tower. It's the highest residential tower in the world. It's the tallest. And there is a suite of amenities that come with living in a building like that. There's 2 swimming pools, indoor and outdoor. There's an outdoor screening room. There's squash. There's anything you could possibly imagine. Children's playroom, fitness room, concierge, everything. There's a 100th floor club that actually gets revealed, I believe, this Thursday, with a private restaurant, bar, catering space that is specifically for the residents. That nothing like that has ever existed in New York, ever. The amenities really make the lifestyle of this building, and it's for the select few.
Higher elevation hasn't always meant higher quality. You know, this New York Times report last year showed a string of structural issues with similar high-priced condos that are all above 1,000 feet on this Billionaires Row. Have they corrected some of those mistakes? And is this bad timing given the macro environment of the economy and rates up?
To answer your first question, that New York Times article is about a completely different tower, another tower.
Right.
And I don't know if that specific developer and architect have remedied those defects, or if there are actually defects in that building. I don't know. Sometimes you'll have owners in high-priced buildings just sue developers because New York City is pretty litigation happy, and if they see money to be won, they try to go after it. There are no issues at Central Park Tower that I'm aware of, and everyone seems to be incredibly happy who's moved in so far. Listen, it's an incredible unit. There's nothing else like it. It's unlike the units that are below it, and it is a true penthouse. As far as the macros that we're entering into, we listed this apartment yesterday. I have 3 showings to 3 billionaires this week. I don't know what to tell you. The purchaser of this apartment is not worried about slightly higher interest rates. There's been more wealth created around the world in the last 3 years than I think in the last maybe 30, 40, whatever that stat might be. It's been pretty incredible, and people are looking at a way, especially in volatile markets, to diversify their assets. Mm-hmm. So do you keep it in a volatile market? Where do you put your money? You know, if you are one of the few around the world who considers themselves a billionaire and is classified as one, where do you put your cash? And real estate is one of those places. because it is an incredible store of value, especially on an island like New York City.
Incredible. Down closer to earth, housing feeling the effects of those hikes. And yeah, we're not talking about the tower now, but across the country, are you seeing the impact of these mortgage rates on the lower end, in particular in New York City?
Best way to think about it is that we had incredibly low and almost artificially low interest rates for nearly 14 years. Yeah. Right? It's a long time. It's a teenager. And people could really afford them. And it gave people a lot of buying power. Now, rates have normalized to what are historical averages. And people can't really afford them, but they can afford them. They just don't want to, because no one likes change, right? Human nature, we just like things to stay the exact same unless they're better for us. We've seen some correction, but I don't even like to call it a correction. I like to call it a normalization. Numbers, contracts, closings are higher than they were in 2019. And that was our last normal market pre-COVID. And so although there's been definitely a slowdown from last year and from the end of 2020, which were artificial highs, you kind of look at them as false positives for the strength of the housing market. We've come down to a normal buying and selling process, which is healthy. If you're priced right, your home will sell tomorrow. If you're priced wrong, your home probably won't sell. Over the last 2 years, if you were priced wrong, you would probably still sell. And that's not great. But people look at that and they say, oh, the market is so great. It's not, right? That was artificial. We're at a more normal pace now as far as pricing is concerned, and it's much healthier for all of us.
I do see that. The houses sitting on the market are just still basing it on the pandemic prices. You wrote a piece for Forbes encouraging real estate agents to take virtual real estate seriously in the Metaverse, something Mark Cuban called the dumbest stuff ever. He also called it super meta immaculately dumb. What's your comment back to Mark on Metaverse real estate?
My future superstars, and I wrote that article for real estate agents, okay? My future rock stars are not the agents that work for me today in New York, Florida, and around the country. My future rock stars are currently 14, 15, 16 years old. They'll enter the workforce in 6, 8, 10 years from now. All of their friends and their relationships right now are in a screen. You go to any home right now, somebody who has a teenager, and they have a multiplayer video game. They've got Fortnite, they've got Roblox, they have one of many, they're watching Twitch, etc. That is where they have their community. And shame on us if we think that's going to go away, and that generation is going to say, no, it's okay. I'm okay with a 9-to-5, and I'm okay with making $60,000 a year, and I'm okay living the same life my parents did. They have an optionality. The younger generation understands that they can be anywhere with anyone at any time on any device. And I think the younger generation is going to be the biggest home buying generation we've ever known. I think they're going to outpace baby boomers by a lot because they care about ownership more than anybody. And virtual real estate for us, right, is another form of ownership, just like anything else. And I'm bullish on virtual worlds and virtual operating systems. Like we have something called Serhant Universe. It is a virtual world for Serhant agents that are everywhere because it puts us on a level playing field. It equalizes. It makes it so that if you're in our Nashville location, you don't feel like you're separate from us because we're in New York. We're all on the same playing field. Everything is equal. And that's how we can expand virtual culture. And when was the last time you saw a successful real estate agent in a wheelchair or in crutches, right? Disabled in any way, a military veteran? You don't, right? Real estate, especially the process of selling it, tends to be pretty discriminatory against people who don't have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 working eyes. You take that into a virtual space and you open up the playing field and you make it more fair. And that's something I'm really excited about. So maybe it's dumb in the way that it's being done today, but there's a lot of people who thought the internet was dumb too. And I don't think it was.
Interesting perspective. Well, man, if I win the Mega Millions tonight, I'll give you a call, maybe a showing for the 250. It looks fabulous. Ryan Serhant, founder and CEO of Serhant. Good to see you, man. Thank you.